Okay, let's now go to our PHP development part where I'm heading to the PHP development environment. And as the first step, I'll write here a new protocol which will be responsible for inserting the data into this uh, database and table. Okay, so here I'll write a new function. It will be function insert report, open and close round brackets, and then open and close curly brackets. Great, so this function inserts details about the complaint. Okay, here first of all definitely we will write an SQL command which will help us, or which will be executed in order to insert the details. Okay, so the first one SQL then equals to then single quotation marks. Here we are writing insert into reports. That is the one reports, and then set space. Then we got post ID, post underscore ID equals to question mark. Then we've got the user ID, comma space user underscore ID equals question mark, comma space. Then the reason, then reason equals question mark, comma space. Then we got by user ID, by user underscore ID equals question marks. Okay, here we are done. Now we will prepare the statement for, we will prepare this SQL command for the execution under the new verbal statement. Statement equals this, then arrow, then we're writing con in order to access the connection, then again arrow, prepare SQL for the execution. Great, so then we'll check, are there any errors while executing the statement or preparing the SQL statement. We'll just check it for the if in the round brackets we write exclamation mark, then statement closing the round brackets, then curly brackets. So if there are some errors, so we'll throw new exception as we're always doing so. Then we will write statement arrow error in semicolon at the end. Okay, after that we'll prepare, but we will replace the question marks in this statement. Statement equals to bind parameters. Okay, so here must be our parameters. First of all, as a post ID will be post underscore ID. Then we've got post. Then we've got user ID. User as a user ID will be user underscore ID, comma. As a reason will be $symbol reason, comma space. Then by user ID will be parameter $symbol by user underscore ID. Excellent. So here, as the SQL, here we will declare the type of these parameters. This will must be integer, integer, string, integer. Okay, so integer, integer, string, integer, 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 string, integer. Great. So now we'll replace first integer with the post ID, comma. Then we'll replace user ID. Then we'll replace second integer as the with the user ID. Then we'll replace string with the reason, comma. Then we'll replace integer with the by user ID. Okay, semicolon at the end here. Then we will execute it and we'll assign the result of this execution to the new variable called result. Result equals to statement arrow execute semicolon at the end, and we'll return finally the result. Return result semicolon. Very good. So this is SQL command for execution. That is the statement. Here we are preparing SQL for execution, checking errors before execution. Here we are replacing question marks with variables. Here we are executing it, and here we are returning this. Okay, so this will be the main protocol to insert the complaint or report into database. Now we need a separate PHP file which will be in charge of reporting. Okay, so here I'll click right click new, and here will be PHP file which I'll write report.php. Next, and here we go. This is the class which will be responsible for inserting reports and complaints into database. Okay, so as you know, guys, we have got the first step to check are all the information passed to current user. So we'll write here if, then in the round brackets we'll write empty. Then here we're opening the curly bracket. So we need now first to check if by user is empty and the reason is let's say empty or not. Okay, so we can write here by user, or we can just check that by user. If here dollar sample underscore request and square brackets and single quotation marks, we'll write by user underscore ID is empty, or we can use is not set. So we'll write is set and exclamation mark, which means false. If it is not set, then we will return the error message. Return then square brackets then single quotation mark status will be equals to 200. Then we are returning the message return square brackets and single quotation marks in this message equals to missing required information and semicolon at the end. And then we want to convert it to being a JSON, echo JSON encode return. Okay, great. And then we don't want to execute the code further. We want to return the execution. Check if the required information passed to current PHP file or not. Okay, let's say if it is passed, then we need to convert it, we need to access it and assign it to the variable by user underscore ID equals to HTML entities, and here we will access the value under the key $symbol underscore request square brackets and single quotation marks by user underscore ID and semicolon at the end. So this is a safe mode of casting variable or casting any value. Okay, so then the step, this was step number one. Step one, then we will have a step number two, build connection with the database. Okay, and here we will write require. First of all, we need to run the function, which is that one, connect. So we need to run this function, which is in access.php. So we need to access access.php. So we will write here require, then in the round brackets we will write, and then single quotation marks, we're going to the folder which is secure, then write slash, then we are writing access.php. And then we need to establish or build or construct the class. We'll write access equals new. Access as a host will be localhost, as a user will be root, password will be empty password, and the database will be Facebook, and semicolon at the end as usual. Then we will execute the function which is connect. $sample access equals not equals arrow connect and semicolon at the end. Very good. So now we will go to the step 3, which will be insert or delete, just insert complaint. By the way, here I forgot to cast other information like post ID, user ID, and the reason. So here $sample by user underscore ID equals to HTML entities. Then here $sample underscore request, then square brackets and quotation marks. Oops, sorry, it shouldn't be user ID, it must be post ID, post underscore ID. Then here we'll write post underscore ID and semicolon at the end. So then we need to access the user ID. User ID equals to HTML entities, $sample underscore request, square brackets and single quotation marks. Then we're writing user ID, user underscore ID. Then we've got the reason. $sample reason equals to HTML entities. Request will be $sample underscore request, square brackets and single quotation marks. Request will be as reason will be reason. Okay, excellent. So here, and don't forget to put semicolon at the end. Okay, so we are now, say this is safe mode of accessing all the variables. Now we will execute the function. We will here, if you want, guys, here we can cast more. We can actually cast more information. We can cast more information. Okay, brilliant. And here we'll write or, let's say, is set. Don't forget put exclamation mark before is set. Dollar sample underscore request and square brackets and quotation marks. So if it was by user ID, so then we can check the user ID. And then we will execute the same. I'll just copy the statement is set. Then will be post underscore ID. Then I will put here or symbols, then again, and then will be reason. We will keep reason as a mandatory reason. Okay, excellent. So here we can now insert it. So we'll write here access arrow insert report. Insert report, that is the one. So we've got the post ID, we've got the user ID, reason, and by user ID. So great. So we will now assign the execution of this result to a new variable, which is a result, and we'll check was it successful or not. If in the round brackets result, then everything is fine, else we want to return it. Insert complaint, then check check the status of execution. Okay, and here we will write a message, return, then square brackets and some quotation marks, status will be 200, don't forget semicolon. Then we are writing the message $sample return square brackets and quotation marks message equals to then some quotation marks complain or reported successfully. Reported successfully. Then we will, and then the else statement means could not insert the report or complaint. Could not insert. This will be inserted successfully. That one will be could not insert the report or complaint. Return status will be equals to single quotation marks 400 semicolon. Then we'll write return single square brackets then single quotation marks. Message will be equals to could not report. Okay, could not report or error while sending your feedback. Okay, something like this. And after all, what we need to do is we need to throw back to the user the main information. So here we'll write echo, then JSON underscore encoding. It will be return. That is the one. That is what we are returning. Then semicolon at the end, and before actual return, we need to close the connection. Access equals to disconnect. Then we're returning the JSON. Okay, so you can consider it as step number 4, disconnect and provide user with the JSON information. Okay, great. So we will now check it. We'll just check it out. Okay, so here localhost, then we've got FB, then we have got report.php, missing required information, then dollars question mark. Then we'll write the first one which we need to provide. It is post ID. Post ID, let's say it will be, let's check which post do we have. We have these are the IDs of the post. Let's say just post number, let's say 12. Post underscore ID equals 12. Then we've got the user ID, who is the owner of this post, as our favorite Jennifer Lawrence. This belongs to Jennifer Lawrence, user ID 2. We're going to the user, so that is user ID 2, so she's a Jennifer Lawrence. We're writing here and user underscore ID, which means user ID, the owner of the post, will be 2. Then we have got the reasons. Here we have got the reason. We need to specify the reason. Reason, we can say just for fun, for example. And by user underscore ID, the one who complained will be equals 1, which is a Bradley Cooper. And I'll execute. Report is successful. We're going now to the reports, and we have got one report, which is post ID 12. The owner of the post is ID 2. Reason just for fun, and by user ID 1, which is a Bradley Cooper. Okay, so that is really amazing, guys. So we're done with the backend, with the PHP part. We will now execute this feature in our application. Okay, it will be something which is really fancy. Let's go and do this.